Welcome back to the Autozine, the magazine you don't have to read. Just listen. Today's episode is titled The Science of Boredom. Why doing nothing might be the smartest thing you ever do. In an age that celebrates hustle, notifications, and the art of being busy, we dare to ask, what if your brain actually needs nothing? Not one more productivity hack. Not another podcast in the background while making breakfast. Just empty, quiet time. The Stoics had a name for this kind of mental space, ataraxia, a state of serene calm, untouched by chaos or craving. And boredom, they'd argue, is one of its gateways. Yet today, the mere idea of boredom sends most people into a panic spiral. Think about it. When was the last time you stood in line at a coffee shop without instinctively reaching for your phone? If you can't remember, you're not alone, and that's the point. We've become allergic to boredom. But what if that discomfort is actually growth knocking at the door? Modern neuroscience shows that when you're bored, your default mode network lights up. The part of your brain responsible for introspection, memory, imagination, and self-awareness. In other words, boredom isn't a bug, it's a design feature. It's where the brain goes to sort out your life in the background. It's the moment your mind whispers, by the way, here's what you've been ignoring for 3 weeks. A modern-day Stoic might say, boredom is the silence between the notes, and that has real meaning. Hides want proof. Consider this, some of history's most creative breakthroughs happened during non-doing. Einstein came up with relativity not in a lab, but while daydreaming on a walk. Newton, he wasn't at a chalkboard when gravity clicked. He was literally under a tree. And then there's Tim, your average modern knowledge worker, who once sat on the toilet for 7 minutes without his phone and accidentally came up with $1 million startup idea. Okay, maybe it wasn't exactly $1 million, but it did involve combustion and AI. So you never know. The point is, the best ideas often arrive when you're not chasing them. Boredom creates cognitive white space, a quiet arena where thoughts wrestle, merge, and form something new. But how do we intentionally enter that space? Here are 4 Stoic-inspired boredom rituals you can try this week. First, deliberate stillness. Sit for 10 minutes with no phone, no distractions, and just let your mind wander. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. That's the point. Second, negative visualization. Imagine losing the very distractions you cling to, your device, your schedule, your dopamine drip, and ask, who am I without this? Third, mind-wandering walks. Go for a walk without earbuds or a destination. Let your brain take the lead. And fourth, reflection journaling. Keep a notebook with you and jot down whatever surfaces. When boredom kicks in, you might meet parts of yourself you've ignored for years. Now, let's talk briefly about the fear behind boredom. Many people resist boredom not because it's empty, but because it's honest. Boredom removes the noise, and sometimes what remains is uncomfortable truth. That's why so many fill their lives with endless input. The Stoics remind us, if you want to be strong, learn to live alone with your thoughts. There's wisdom in that, and maybe even peace. If you want to go deeper, we recommend Bored and Brilliant by Manoush Zomorodi. Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. In the Daily Stoic podcast, you don't need a gadget, just awareness. So, let this episode be your permission slip to do absolutely nothing. Gaze out a window, watch the clouds, let your mind drift. Maybe you won't discover the next theory of relativity, but you might just realize that the idea you've been waiting for has been quietly waiting for you. Remember, he is most powerful who has power over himself, said Seneca, and that includes the power to do nothing at all. Coming up next, the power of pause, how slowing down changes everything. Until then, pause, breathe, and if you catch yourself getting bored, congratulations, you're on the right track.